There have been some reports that President Putin is pausing for a moment and reflecting on what's happened. I think that we've all seen that from the perspective of the European Union, the United States,
great, yeah,
allies like Canada and Japan,
right.
and allies and friends and partners around the world, there is a strong belief that Russia's action is violating international law. I know.
You mean like you're violating international law on a daily basis?
A different set of lawyers making a different set of interpretations.
Different set of lawyers. Now, what do you expect from Barack Obama, a lawyer who never practiced law? Welcome to the Savage Nation. Today's program has a title. It's called The New World Order versus the Old World Order. Obviously, you can figure out who represents the New World Order and who represents the Old World Order, and you can decide which side you're on. I know many of you want to comment on what's going on in the Balkans. The phone number is 855-400-7282, 855-400-SAVAGE. Again, if you missed my seminal article of yesterday, you need not miss it. It's on michaelsavage.com, where I said that Putin crossed Obama's pink line. So Obama gave that speech saying that Putin is pausing for a moment, and a few moments later he test-fired an ICBM. Putin rides horses, and Obama rides a bicycle with a helmet. Putin, shall I go down the list? It doesn't mean I'm in love with Putin or I think that Russia's 100% right, but it's in their sphere of interest. It's not in our sphere of interest. And the warmongers have to stop. McCain should be arrested. He runs his mouth. I believe in free speech, but this man is not just a talk show host. John McCain is a U.S. Senator. He started this whole ball rolling in December when he went over there and stirred up the masses to overthrow a legitimately elected president of the Ukraine. If there was an anti-Nobel Peace Prize, meaning a war prize, McCain should get it. In 1999, I wrote an article called The Oily Tracks Running Through Kosovo, which you must hear. It's an archival piece that belongs in a Hall of Fame somewhere, because what went on in Kosovo under Clinton is being repeated now in the Ukraine. And by the way, the players are very similar. And I'm going to read it to you. Remember who wrote it and when. Long before some people were even in radio, long before some people even knew where Kosovo was, they were still working inside the bowels of the government, pretending to be public servants. Now they're talk show hosts saying that America's right. This is amazing to me. How people who hate Obama now are on Obama's side while attacking Obama. That's amazing to me. How they can have it all different ways. I mean, it just shows you what we have in the neocon media here. The oily tracks running through Kosovo. The New World Order versus the Old World Order. For some reason, I'm getting faxes in the middle of a show. I'd like to throw the machine into the San Francisco Bay. Who's ever doing this should be fired. So let me read this to you. Let me read this to you as soon as the twiggling stops. 855-400-7282. Putin says no immediate need to invade eastern Ukraine, leaves that threat dangling. Dangling, huh? You know, I've seen agitprop in my life, and I've seen propaganda in my life. John Kerry leaning over a makeshift memorial to the fallen victims of the protests in the Ukraine with stacks of flowers and burnt-out tires was on the grand list of agitprop. It was right out of Animal Farm. John Kerry ought to go and put a memorial to the Border Patrol agents who've been killed by Mexican invaders. The U.S. government ought to put our troops on the border with Mexico because we're being invaded, our borders crushed, and our sovereignty destroyed by the New World Order under John Kerry and Barack Obama. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about Ukraine. I could give a rat's behind about Ukraine. All of a sudden, all the people who've busted our borders and destroyed our borders, language, and culture are telling me, oh, we must respect the territorial integrity of the Ukraine. We must respect the borders of the Ukraine. Why don't you start at home, John? Why don't you start at home, John, and just admit that you're working for the oil oligarchs, John? I'll read this to you. You tell me what you think. Are you ready? The Oily Tracks Running Through Kosovo, November 30th, 1999. By Michael Savage. Kosovo was about oil and nothing but oil, with maybe some uranium thrown in and a dash of wag the dog, and you thought it was to save the poor Kosovar Albanians. Of all the ethnically cleansed peoples around the world, some numbering in the millions, the beneficent powers of NATO decided to draw the line with the Kosovar Albanians. About 2,000 of the ethnic Albanians had been reportedly killed by Serbs in the preceding years, so it was time for the humanitarian guard to take action. No matter that about as many Serbs have been killed by the Albanians, and that Kosovo is a part of the sovereign state of Yugoslavia, and that this conflict had been ongoing for centuries. Big oil required a pipeline through Kosovo, and the poor Serbs just happened to own the wrong real estate at the wrong time. How do I know that the Kosovo action was about oil, or to be exact, about establishing a safe haven for an oil pipeline? Remember when I wrote this in 1999, when some were still putting up wallboard, when others were still acting as lawyers inside the bowels of the government? I wrote this. I wrote that just recently, Bill Clinton signed an historic agreement with Azerbaijan on this very matter. Azerbaijan is one of the former Soviet republics that became a separate country with the breakup of the USSR. Formerly, Caspian oil would have come into the world market as a Soviet export, but not anymore. It now comes under the flag of this newly independent nation via Turkey, where it is transshipped by way of Turkish seaports. And Russia has been deftly unlinked from the world oil market. Pay attention to this very carefully. Please, learn something. Learn something. Stop thinking in sound bites. Now, keen interest in Azerbaijani oil is nothing new. The Germans have had a compelling interest in this oil going back to 1905 and extending through the two world wars up to and including the present. One of Hitler's primary goals in his push to the east was to capture the Azerbaijani oil fields. But where the Kaiser and Nazi Germany failed, it seems the New World Order featuring Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, and other socialists is going to succeed. Remember 1999, and see where I'm going here. The plan is now to route the oil in a way that will fulfill Germany's long sought-after objective. Here is how the oil is going to run. It starts from the oil fields of Baku, Azerbaijan's capital of the Caspian Sea. It is piped from there across Azerbaijan and Georgia through Turkey. But the plan of Bill Clinton and the rest of the present-day Nea Ordnung is now to have it piped from Turkey directly through Bulgaria. I won't read the details of the pipeline. I'll just skip to the chase. But before reaching the Danube and the Adriatic, as you probably guessed, the pipeline must first go from Bulgaria through Yugoslavia and Kosovo. Slobodan Milosevic, however, has had other plans for oil shipment through his country that are more to his liking, and Russia's. Pay attention to what I just said, and Russia's. And Milosevic was unwilling to cooperate with this scenario. The NATO socialists were attacking Russia by proxy in stealing Kosovo from Serbia. Let me pause right there. The NATO socialists attacked Russia by proxy when they stole Kosovo from Serbia. Russia knew it then, and Russia sees it happening all over again. Does this begin to make sense to you? Does this make sense to you? During the shameful and cowardly NATO bombing of the historic bridges across the Danube River, the mouthpieces of the government media complex ceaselessly propagandized Madeleine Albright, Jamie Rubin, Jamie Shea, the English soccer thug, Madeleine Halfbright's stooge, Jamie Rubin, the husband of that Mata Hari on CNN, whose name I forget, with the false British accent, Solana, the Spanish socialist, an unnamed Luftwaffe general, and others continue the big lie. They were bombing Serbian civilians, hospitals, schools, trains, power plants, apartments, orphanages to save Albanians, they said. Yeah, they were also destroying Kosovo to save it. These international war criminals were led by General Wesley Clark, a Rhodes Scholar from Arkansas, who clicked his shiny heels for the commander-in-grief, Bill Clinton, another Rhodes Scholar from Arkansas. But the greatest shame must fall upon the tendentious media hacks, including Fox News, I said at the time, and most columnists of the neo-right all fell in line, just as they are doing today, ladies and gentlemen. The Limbaugh cartel is no different. They've all taken the side of Obama while attacking Obama. They said at the time that the criminal bombing of Serbia was just. They said it was to save the innocent ethnic Albanians from the evil non-ethnic Serbs. Have you now heard one of these hacks apologize or admit they were duped? Used by big oil to apologize for, to justify NATO war crimes? Well, I can go on. Did you know that more than 25,000 Greek citizens rioted over this, and they were underreported in number? They rioted against what they did to the Serbs. And so let me conclude. This was written in 1999. It's one more paragraph. You'll see where I'm going. With the NATO presence in Kosovo, the way is now clear for the pipeline and for the ethnic Albanians to ethnically cleanse the province, to make the world safe for big oil's Trans-Kosovo pipeline. 1999, the oily tracks run through Kosovo. Today's show is entitled The New World Order versus the Old World Order. If you've got a comment to make, we're open for business. Give me 15 minutes and I'll give you America. 855-400-7282. This is the Savage Nation. Let's take our first caller. Let's take our first caller out of, I don't know, we got so many callers. It's hard for me to know where to go right now because I just read that and my mind is not on callers, but I need to take callers. Let's go to WJR in Detroit. Mark, welcome to the program. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Dr. Savage, how you doing today? Are you there?
Yeah, I never answer how I'm doing. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to make one comment about John Kerry. He is a relic of the Cold War, and I thought the Cold War was over, and I don't think it's good for us to go back to sparring the United States and Russia.
Of course it's not good. Nuclear war is dangerous for children and other living creatures. Isn't that what the left taught us? Well, now they put us to the brink of an ICBM duel. I mean, you do know within the last hour that Russia just launched a test ICBM. That was in reaction to Kerry's blustering and Obama's fumbling. You know that, don't you?
Well, yeah, I know that, and I haven't worried about mushrooms.
No, I haven't worried at all. I'm not duck and covering under my desk. I grew up with that in the 50s. I remember duck and cover. I lived through the Cold War. Duck and cover, duck and cover. We in New York and the East Coast used to, as children, none of us got damaged by it. It's very funny. We didn't need flowers and balloons and clowns to come in to give us some kind of treatment afterwards. We just realized we lived in a really dangerous world. And so when the teacher said duck and cover, we ran and hid under the desks. Wouldn't have helped us, of course, but at least we had a sense of empowerment that if there was going to be a nuclear bomb dropped on New York City, we felt, well, we're under a desk, we're in a closet, we got a chance to pull the girl's hair. We had fun anyway. You know, kids play no matter what happens. But we didn't need therapy after running into the closet or under the desk. Isn't it odd that now that the psychos have taken over the schools, everything that happens, they need therapy, they need sessions to help the children? None of us needed sessions. We went on and did great work here in America, most of us. Most of us could read, we could write, we could add. We created professions and families. We didn't need the therapists. We didn't need the perverted, sick, demented, twisted therapists that are now bending our children's minds with dangerous drugs. But don't let me get distracted here. You're listening to a program today about the big issue, which is Obama and his weakness makes Neville Chamberlain look like Superman. In fact, Obama makes Jimmy Carter look like Superman. The weakness, the spinelessness of Obama is what's causing all of this. And by the way, thank you, taxpayers. Michelle Obama and her daughters are announcing another luxurious vacation to China. The 6th annual winter vacation was just to the Hawaiian Islands at a cost of $4 million. But Michelle and Malia and Sasha will now jet off to China for over a week of much-needed sightseeing. But don't worry, the First Lady's mother, Marian Robinson, will be tagging along on your dime. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.